show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. You know, I asked the Father what he wanted me to say tonight. And he said, tell them I'm coming. And he said, this world is waiting for their messiahs, but I will come for my own. And so I hesitated, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to ask when, because he's going to say soon, and I hate that word. It's always soon. I hate that word. And so one thing that he said struck out at me. When he said, tell them while the world is waiting for their messiahs, I will come for my own. And see, when the Lord speaks, you have to pay attention to every single word, because he doesn't mince words. He doesn't waste words. He doesn't go on long conversational novels that you see all these people that say they got a word from the Lord, and they have like a page and a half of info. That is so not the Father. People always want to know, what are the signs you know if you're hearing from Dad or not? He is not a blabbermouth. And so when you read somebody's prophecy, the thing is going on and on and on and on and on and on. Now, he usually, and you can usually tell, he stops speaking at about the third paragraph, because from that point on, it's like they started listening to another voice. And the whole content and structure and feel of their message changes. You go from one conversation with one person to just a totally complete different person steps in and starts speaking, and the rest of their conversation is just something told from someone else, and that's typically when people start to hear from the Lord and they're getting pretty confident that they know when He's speaking to them. One of the mistakes they make is that He stops talking. And He'll just abruptly stop, and then they start to hear what they think is Him talking again, start talking again. But what happens is when He stops, another voice, another demon, another entity will step in and start continuing the word that He gave you. They'll pick up where He left off and start speaking. And if you're not trained to recognize this, then you automatically assume you're hearing from Father when you're not. Someone else has stepped in and taken over. Because I'll sit and read these prophecies that people write, not all the time. Very select few I'll even read. And you can tell at the beginning it sounds good, it sounds like the Father. And then it just changes. It just switches like a light switch. And it's no longer Him. And so that's one of the things you have to learn when you're starting to hear from Him. And other telltale things to look for with people going astray and their prophecies and visions and dreams and everything people attribute to the Father. But anyway, back to what I was saying about how he doesn't mince words, he doesn't go on blabbing spiels. What this means is that he said while the world is waiting for their messiahs, I will come for my own, which means he comes first. Because we know the Muslims are waiting for their Imam, their Mahdi, and all that's why there's a big war in Yemen, because Yemen has a part to play in the Black Flag Army of the Mahdi and Muslim prophecies. And he's supposed to come out of Iran. And so all the stuff in the Middle East is usually posturing and fighting and stuff to do with the Muslim prophecies. And then you have, the Buddhists waiting for Buddha and the Hindus waiting for Hindu. And you got the Christians waiting for Yahushua. And so, all the religions mimic Christianity. They try to use that, the atheists try to use that as a block to say that Christianity was just mimicked and mirrored off other religions. And Satan knew. He always knew at the beginning that to redeem mankind, the Father was going to have to send His Son. He knew the plans. And so He set up religions to possibly gauge and mimic what was going to happen in the future. And He always duplicates everything the Father does. He mirrors it, replicates it. And so that's what He was doing with all these other religions. And so now what happens is that when the false prophet and Antichrist do come to earth, and I've told you they're Maitreya and Sananda. This Maitreya will play the Islam Mahdi, and Sananda Emmanuel Asu, now going by the name Yeshua ben David, because I'm a blabbermouth, and whenever I say something, they pick up on it and run. But his name is Yahushua ben David, but they're calling him Yeshua ben David because Yeshua is the Talmud name for Yahushua, and that's why I will never use it, because the Talmud's a piece of filth, satanic garbage, and so I'll never call him Yeshua. His name is Yahushua. His name is not Jesus Christ. It is Yahushua ben David. In Matthew chapter 1, I believe it's verse 24, somewhere around there, the first time it mentions the name Jesus, I believe that's when it's going through when He was born in Matthew chapter 1. And the name is in all caps, Jesus Christ. And if you look at the notes, my Bible has these little notes in the margins. The reason why it's in all caps is because that name was translated. It means it was translated, which means it's not the real name, it's a translation. Now, how hard it would have been to write His real name, it must have been really difficult. I mean, His real name was Yahushua, so how difficult could that have been? But they translated Yahushua ben David into Jesus Christ. And that's the way the KJV dealt with it. Now, if Acts 4:12 is accurate, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven whereby you must be saved, that all those under Jesus Christ are not saved, because they've been saved under the name of Jesus Christ. His name isn't Jesus Christ. But thankfully the Lord isn't that nitpicky, and He realizes people call Him Jesus. So, I'm just saying the literalness and the Phariseeness of some people, they just cling to the wrong things, and you get to know the Father, and you see what's important to Him and what isn't, and sometimes things are more important to us than they are Him. I think it's just a mature thing, a maturity level, to know His real name and use it. I mean, that's a special blessing, so why wouldn't people want to know His real name and use it? If only those the closest to Him know His real name, wouldn't you want to be one of those closest to Him? Because you knew His real name and you called Him by it? I mean, because if you're really close to somebody, they're going to reveal their real name to you if you call them the wrong name all the time, don't you think? So to me, it's just a real level of maturity in faith and love for the Father to at least know their real name, seek it out. To seek it out. Most people don't even seek out the name of the Father, they just call Him God. Oh yeah, well, God is a title. God isn't a name, it's a title. His name is Yahuwah. Yahuwah. That's His name. His Son's name is Yahushua. Yahuwah's salvation. God is our salvation. Yah in Hebrew is God. God is salvation, Yahushua. Yeah, alright, so I thought that was interesting. Tell them I'm coming, child. The world is waiting for their messiahs, but I will come from my own. You know, last week I was talking about heaven and the planet Enoch spoke of. And ever since I did last week's show, I haven't seen hide or hair of a blue sky or even a clear sky. It's been Rocky Mountain gray clouds since then. Barely any sunlight. And nothing but black vulture birds flying around. You could hear them talking and tweaking. You know, and I said on my Facebook, it looks like the scene out of a Alfred Hitchcock movie. So, I go out there a couple minutes before the show, and the sky, I haven't had this much hindrance with my radio show since the last time Hillary paid hackers to try to take my show down. Just pay hackers to hack my blog talk radio access. That was years ago. I hate interruptions. So, okay. Let's talk about this month because there's more action this month than there's been all year. And everything seems to be converging into 2 weeks. And those 2 weeks, let me get my little calendar here, are September 11th to the 17th and the 18th to the 25th. Because I really don't think anything after the 26th is going to be of much significance until the first of the year. Unless something happens exactly on the 25th and it drags into the week, 25th, 26th, 27th, that one. Because the 25th is on a Sunday this year. I hate saying the word Christmas, so I'll say the 25th. Because Christmas is a pagan holiday. And all you Christians who celebrate it, you're being very pagan. You're pagans. So stop it. Stop celebrating Christmas. People always scream about taking Christ out of Christmas. That's exactly what you should do. It doesn't honor him. When you take Christ out of Christmas, you'll feel a lot better. Because then you can start weaning yourself off the holiday very slowly and getting away from the paganisms. I know it's hard when you have kids, but you need to just get off the paganisms. So, you know, from September 11th to the 25th, let's just say, those 2 weeks and a day are going to be very interesting. Now, the 13th is when all the states, everything has to be done. Any kind of recounts that's going to be done for the voting and everything, everything has to be done by December 13th. That's the final date. It's not a Friday, it's Tuesday. Another thing is that something I had posted on my website. Let's see if they'll let me get on it. I kind of go on tirades in the mornings, and then I get busy the rest of the day. If you haven't found me on Twitter yet, I am on Twitter. You can friend me on Twitter. I don't know what the twit I'm doing, but I'm on Twitter. I make some comments, and then, okay. So their current plan is to have the Electoral College refuse to give it to Trump and have a coup and end up taking the actual vote to the House of Representatives, where they will then elect Paul Ryan as President of the United States. Then you have Hildebeest, Hillary Clinton, still fighting it out to be president because her people just sent the Russian Foreign Minister of Affairs an invitation to her inaugural election. So apparently she's going through with the motions of already won and winning and going to be elected. She's sending out, the State Department is sending out invitations on her behalf. Never mind, her clone is probably turned off and laying on a gurney in a lab. But they're going on with that charade. Congress is planning on electing Paul Ryan as president because that's what the New Agers want. That's what China wants. Because China now runs and owns America in the background. Our whole shadow government thing you've been hearing about all these years, that crazy conspiracy theorists have been talking about, yeah, that's all owned by China now. China technically owns this country now. And they have chosen Paul Ryan to be our new president. But meanwhile, Donald Trump goes along as if nothing's happening, and he's going to be elected president and inaugurated in January. So we're basically looking at a three-ring circus here. A total three-ring circus. You have the New Agers plans, you have Hildebeest plans, and you have Trump, who I don't know if he's going along with all this, is clueless about any of this. I don't think he's clueless. I think he knows what's going on. I don't know if he's always aware of everything that goes on, because he has to gauge what they tell him, and they probably don't tell him very much, because over the years I've often had people from the White House ask me questions direct, and other people involved with D.C., because they never knew anything. You know, they're kept in the dark, or they're told that something's a lie or something, you know. They're told various things to be kept away from the truth. That's how the Satanists are to each other. And so nobody ever knows anything. So they just come to the source and ask, and I talk to them. I don't care. Talking to them is a lot easier than talking to the bride half the time. People who call themselves Christians, and they're just so full of themselves and apostasies, you can't get through to them. At least with the Satanists, you know who they are. There's no games. There's no games, but there's respect, so I can deal with that. You talk to me with respect, I can talk to you. Of course, that's not going to happen anymore because Satan soul-scalped everybody. Everybody in D.C. has been soul-scalped. And I will not talk to a soul-scalped person, so it's just nasty. It's just nasty. Now, if they get control of their body and it's a human, I might speak to that. If Father told me to talk to somebody, I would, but otherwise it's just nasty. You know, you're talking to a lizard. It's just like, ew. Ugh, I want to talk to that thing. I don't know if you've ever heard a lizard on the phone. It's really crazy. I used to get death threats all the time, and they'd sit there, you'd answer the phone, hello, and they sit there, they don't say anything. You're like, hello. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to hang up, or okay, I'll play this game for about a minute. Because you know it's them. And so you're like, hello, and then you hear this raspy, like a lizard voice, you know, and it's like they're trying to form words, and their lizard tongue's getting in the way, and they can't speak. And so they start to, you're dead. You're dead. I'm going to kill you, something, you know. Like, oh, really? You know, it's usually Maitreya. He hates me. He used to always give me threats. But it's funny. They're just nasty. They're just nasty here on the phone. They're not human. So, anyway, all this is kind of converging in this month because the Electoral College is supposed to meet on the 19th. And so, the thing that gets me about the whole thing is that the whole New Age alien agenda, which I've been screaming about for years, Sarah sucks, and Lala's plans, and every December we have to go through this Christmas scenario because it's part of their plans. Well, if their plans were for the benefit of America, like they all claim, we're going to restore our country's going to be restored republic, and we're going to return to constitutional law, and all this is, going to benefit America. This is good for America. Why is it all done in secret and in private and hidden? Why is everything so hush-hush? Because there was supposed to be disclosure, and all this stuff was supposed to come out. But everything is being done in, silence and secrecy. Well, you thought, 10 years ago when they first started rolling out with this agenda to where it is today, I've been following it off and on. I mean, it's something the Lord had put me on back in 2000. You can only handle so much of that aspect of this whole agenda. But I knew it was coming, the New Age alien agenda. I've been harping about it for 16 years now, getting people ready and prepared. And boy, back then people just thought you were completely ballistically off your rocker. And now it's all coming to the forefront. And there's websites and stuff people can go to and see for themselves. Because back then there wasn't even that much online about it. I'm harping about it. There wasn't that much about it. But what happened was the whole Sarah thing started to take shape. And once that started rolling and people started getting into a global currency evaluation stuff, blogs started popping up and more websites and videos, and so that kind of helped speed things along with waking people up. But they hid it in the climate bill. And we all know carbon emissions is a lie, and global warming is a lie. We're in the middle of a freaking ice age. But they hid this whole restored republic thing in the Paris bill. So if it's supposed to be so good for mankind, why was it hidden? Why didn't the United Nations just come out and announce GESARA, what they call GESARA, which has always been NESARA, because they changed everything about it and give it a new name. Why aren't they just speaking openly about this? Why is it all hush hush? What are they gonna tell the people on the 19th? Is this gonna be made public that Paul Ryan is now our president? And they're just gonna take it away from Donald Trump and use some lame excuse? What excuse could they possibly have when Donald Trump won fair and square through the elections? I mean, the only thing Jill Stein proved was that Donald Trump won by a landslide. That's all she's doing with these recounts, is proving that he won by more votes than what they're claiming. If they took out all the false ballots that Hillary used, it would come down to the fact that he won by 85%. It would start uncovering all the rigging and lying on Hillary's part. They keep thinking there's rigging and lying on Donald's part because they can't believe that the rest of America it doesn't go along with the libtards who think they run America. Just because journalists get on TV and pound their liberal agenda doesn't mean anybody's listening. I think they can tell by their numbers America's not listening to you. And you go to the internet, you look at people's websites where the real numbers are, and you can see where the people are listening. And little Hollywood celebrities, all they do is influence 8 and 12-year-olds. They might influence them on what to wear, but you're never going to influence an adult what to think. So they put all this heavyweight stuff into thinking that their retard celebrities can influence America to be as liberal as they are. No, I always said Hollywood is not the rest of America. Hollywood is Hollyweird. That's where all the weird libtards go. It's not America. The majority of America was sick of the nonsense. That's why Trump is president. And the journalists still don't get it. They don't get it. So anyway, on the 19th is supposed to be the Electoral College meeting where they should cast all their votes for Donald Trump, and then it's finalized that he is the president, and then we wait till January 20th for his inauguration. Now, that's his speech. I'm not sure when the inauguration. Maybe it's earlier. I don't know. I think they had it earlier last year. They had the president's speech earlier. I don't know. I know Trump did. He didn't wait till the 20th. He had it like a week before. I was wondering why the speech was early last year. But so much stuff going on. So much this month. To see what really happens on the 19th. You know. And then I was warning about them pulling the electricity. Obama had this huge plans to knock the electric grid out. They wanted to blow up the sun or one of the stars, and just all these plans. And that plays into both of them because the New Agers also want darkness, to blow up the sun and cause darkness, because they want their event in the sky to be huge. And I've talked about their event. I've talked about the two events, the two main events. One is Yahushua's coming to take his bride home, and the other one is their event to arrive to Earth. It's two events. And the New Agers all call it the event, the event, the event. You'll hear that on the internet. You'll see it. They're talking about the event when their ascended masters arrive to Earth. And they've been telling you about this stuff on shows like V for years. And all I'm seeing is shows like Day After Tomorrow. Because I'm talking about electricity going out and how it feels like a Day After Tomorrow event's going to happen. And then boom, you get videos and emails about a huge record-shattering cold front hitting. I never go to Drudge Report. Hardly ever go there, and then the one day last week I go to Drudge Report, and there's that article on there on record-shattering breaking cold front coming through. And I'm thinking, how convenient. That's the same time they want to pull the electric. Maybe that's why I kept feeling a Day After Tomorrow scenario. We don't have the snow, but they're making up with the extreme, brutal cold weather. So all this is kind of like around the same time, because next week, when that the cold front would hit the East Coast, is basically when everything's supposed to be wrapping up for the Electoral College to meet and vote in Trump as president. Things kind of converging on next week and the week after. This week might be the calm before the storm. It's what it kind of feels like. Time to prepare, get ready. I'm not waiting for or expecting the Father to just, cancel it and make it not happen. Like so many other people are depending on. If he wants to, he will. But what he told me was that both of these groups want it, and that he wouldn't stop it. And the only way it's going to be stopped is that if one of them chicken out and don't do it. Which is very likely, because, come on, we've been waiting for this event by the Ashtar Council, the council that rules Earth above, rules Earth from above. We've been waiting for stuff from them since 2012. Since 2012. And nothing has ever happened that they said they were going to do. So are they going to arrive Christmas this year? I highly doubt it. But you know what? There's that 1% chance that they might. But I'm telling you, I go through this every December with them, and they never do anything. They chicken out. And Obama, does he still have the pull to order somebody to pull down the electric grid in America? Is anybody still listening to him? Because I know the New Age agenda is pretty much taking over everything. So I'm not sure Obama has the clout to pull that off. Because he's more like the lame duck president. Everyone's just waiting for him to shut up and get out. Because on his way out, everybody knows he's trying to cause mayhem. He wants to cause trouble. He spent 8 years trying to destroy America and ram it into the ground and bankrupt us. And all it did was put us into the hands of our creditors, where we were foreclosed on by our creditors, who was China. And now, because of Obama and his giving eminent domain of America to China in 2008, 2009, Hillary Clinton did that, our creditors now own us again. Now, how is this possible that, okay, let's go back. In 1871, we're in debt to Great Britain because of the Civil War or whatever. And so they foreclose on their loans they had given us and take control of America. See, July 4th's always been a huge lie. That's why I don't even celebrate it. It's a huge lie. We've never been independent from Great Britain. The Queen has always owned America. That's why you have the British registry, the bar. The lawyers passed the bar, which is a British registry thing. The flags are all gold trimmed, which means we're under military rule. I'd go to a courtroom, they're all gold trimmed, and that's what that means. She owns the IRS, collecting her slave tax from her serfs in America, which is us. The IRS, all the money from the IRS goes to her. Agencies like the NSA and FBI and even NASA. We don't own any of those agencies, folks. We don't own the TSA. We don't own the CIA. We don't own the NSA. These are all agencies put in place to spy on her serfs, which are us, to keep us in line. She owns BP, which drills all the oil out of America for her own fat butt. She destroyed the Gulf of Mexico trying to drill for gold under the guise of drilling for oil. Cracks a hole into hell and releases creatures up through the Gulf, and then they have to spray all these chemicals and literally recreate an oil problem to try to hide the real one. Yeah, this is all the little lizard family in UK, the Queen, who's a lizard. People think that's not true. It's totally true. It's totally true. I know people who have seen her eat sacrifices, who say she eats humans 3 times a day, who have seen her sacrifice humans, take out their hearts, and fight over them with her brother, because that's the tastiest morsel, you know. And they both want it, they fight over it, so she gets it because she's bigger and meaner. Except for that one time she showed up with a black eye. That was kind of funny. It's like, whoa, she lost that fight. She's one of the most nastiest criminals, killing thieves you've ever seen, and her kids are no different. You know, the boys were killed long ago, William and Harry. They've been replaced a long time ago. The ones you see now are not the originals. They replaced them when Princess Diana was killed. And she is not alive, living in Elton John's whatever. I saw a video that had laughed. And you know what? That was the sad thing, because she was the only part of the entire British thing, the royal family, that America could even stomach. Everybody liked Princess Diana. You know, everybody, I didn't know anyone that didn't like her. Everybody liked Princess Diana. They could stomach her. They liked her. And then the lizard went ahead and killed it. It was crazy. So now there's nothing redeeming about that whole UK lizard family. But the fact that they own America since 1871. So now, bringing us to this point, now America gets in debt trouble again. And we owe billions and billions to China that we can't pay back in loans. And so now China forecloses on America and takes ownership of America. I wonder, how does that work when we already belong to Britain? But either way, that's the way it is. Can't explain why or how, but that's the way it is. Now China owns America. America has never owned America. And all this time, every year, y'all go out and celebrate July 4th independence. Yeah. So now China is calling the shots. And China wants Paul Ryan as president of America. So they made Kasich, or Buhner, Paul Buhner, Boner, however you spell his name, Bain, I don't know. They made him step aside, resign, so that Paul Ryan could have a spot. Because, see, all this was set up so that when Trump won the presidency, they could dispute it. Then they can't take it to the Supreme Court because Scalia died and he hasn't been replaced yet. So it won't be taken to the Supreme Court. It will go to the House of Representatives, and they will elect Paul Ryan to replace Trump. This is the plan. So that's how Paul Ryan squeaks in, who the Chinese already pinpointed over a year ago to supposedly become the president of this new restored Republic of America. We're supposed to be the new restored Republic of America, but we're owned by China. So before we were the United States of America owned by Britain, and now we're the restored Republic owned by China. Gee, I'm just so excited about all this, aren't you? And if you go on these New Age boards, what's really sad is you see all these people on there, and they act like they're church people, and they're praying, and they're talking about, oh, God's going to do this for us, and they just act like they're really good people, just really ignorant. First of all, the Most High God has nothing to do with this. Keep him out of it. But they go on and on and on. And you know what? I don't think any of them have actually stopped to realize why China's calling the shots, why they're telling America what they have to do. And so there's this one blog spot in Tel Dinar Chronicles that says anyone's welcome to post. Just send in your email to so-and-so, and they'll post it on the blog. And so last week I sent in an email that he posted on the blog, and it has not been posted yet. I didn't even put my name on it. I used Watcher files. It has not been posted yet. They must have screamed truth. They won't post it. But I was innocently asking them why China's in charge of everything. Doesn't that alarm anybody? They want to drain the swamp in America of all the bad people, the New World Order cabal. They're the bad people. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Clintons, Bushes. I won't argue with that. But if you think the people coming in behind them are any better, you're crazy. Time to pull the head back out of the sand. Because they're worse than them. They're worse. They're the parents. We've been dealing with their kids. Now the parents are coming in. The good redeeming part of that whole thing is they're the ones who usher in the tribulation period so we can just get out of here. We're either dead or what, maybe that's why he's just saying I'm coming to get my own, Father says he's coming to get his own. While everybody else is waiting for their messiahs to arrive, which means his event comes first, which I like because I like watching for his arrival over theirs. Who wants to sit around and wait for Satan to arrive? I want to see Yahushua. I was asked a couple times one time, why do you always go outside and look up at the sky? Because I'm waiting for Father to take me home. I explained to you what heaven is. It's a planet. It's within our solar system now. I've explained where to find it, what it looks like. And he is going to redeem his people off the earth. Another thing I want to talk about, I felt like giving these truth bombs. And I asked him if he wanted me to talk about it tonight, and he said yes, and I'm kind of floored because not something I talk about very often. Maybe once. I actually did want to do a video on this, and I just have no idea how I'd do it. There has been rumblings on the History Channel about the Ark of the Covenant. Heed those. Pay attention to those, because they're giving a lot of truth in those. Usually they don't. Usually the History Channel is like, whatever. You take it for what it's worth. I don't watch it, so. But there was some things on there I was glad to watch a couple years ago. And I was floored, because it was actually pretty accurate. And it was talking about the Ark of the Covenant and how the prophet Jeremiah had moved it out of Israel before Israel's temple was destroyed in 580 BC. And he moved it out of Israel along with some other artifacts out of the temple. The Stone of Destiny, the harp, some other temple artifacts. And he moved it out of the temple, and then several years later would make his way over to Ireland. Now, for a long time, the Ark was in Ireland. And during this time, there was a lot of speculation that the Ark of the Covenant was under a church in Ethiopia. And they actually had this whole, how does a paper disappear off my desk in front of my eyes? What is this? This is crazy. Alright. Oh, this is very funny. Very funny. Alright, here it is. For a long time, they tried to allude to the fact that the Ark of the Covenant was in Ethiopia. And supposedly underneath this church, and the church was being guarded, and all this hubbub about Ethiopia. Well, over the years, about the same time, the Japanese have always felt that the Ark of the Covenant was in northern Japan. I don't know why the Japanese always got their business in Israelite affairs, but they do. And so they always believed that the Ark was actually hidden in northern Japan somewhere. And then you have the archaeologists from America going over to Israel and claiming they found it, and they didn't. And then they always claim they think they know where it's at, and they do whole shows on it, and they sell videos. It's not in Israel. It's not in Japan. It's not in Ethiopia. And it's not in Ireland. Because, you see, they had a plan. The Queen was trying to steal the treasures out of Ireland. And they were going to move it over to England. But before it got to England, what happened was the Templars got involved. And they hijacked the Ark. And they took it to America. They brought it to America so that the Queen couldn't get her big butt hands on it. Whoever was Queen at that time. Sure it was a king. I think Elizabeth was the first one. I don't know. But anyway, I don't like her, so we'll just use her big butt analogy. She's a lizard. She's always messing with me, so. The Templars brought the Ark over to America. So then if you pick up the history, there was actually a replica, a fake one, and a real one. And if you follow the trail of the Ark of the Covenant in America, it goes pretty far out west, to where it actually, I think it goes out to Arizona, and then it circles back and starts to come back. Now, which one was that? The real one or the fake one? Because I will tell you that there is a location in Arkansas on my first Oregon mission ever, my first one. The Father took me to this mountain in Arkansas, and there was a little church there, and this mountain was steep. I mean, I had no idea when I started driving up this thing what a roller coaster ride it was going to be. So that there's a few people with an understanding that the Ark is buried there. But which one? The real one or the decoy? And then there's another story where they were bringing the Ark up through the East Coast, and the people were chased by Indians. And so they hurried up and buried it because they were going to go back and get it. But they buried it so that the Indians wouldn't find it, wouldn't get it. But what happened was after they buried the Ark and had it secured and hidden, the Indians caught up to them and killed all the people that were involved. So the Ark has been buried and hidden all this time. So there's actually two Arks in America. There's a decoy and there's a real one. And one of them's in Arkansas and the other one's in Ohio. Now, I know which one's which. I know which one's which. The story is fascinating. I love the Indian thing because in Ohio, there is a burial ground not too far from where the Ark is buried. And there was Indians that were killed. And I don't, know about the others, but I know it's known as an old Indian burial ground. But there's other people there because there was a fight. A lot of them were killed. All of the soldiers, the Templars who had brought the Ark were killed because nobody ever went back to get the Ark because none of them survived. And the Indians didn't know anything about it. They were just after the Templars because they were on their land. Ohio has a really rich history with the Ark of the Covenant coming through there. Newark, Ohio has a museum. They claim that they had found the Ten Commandments, a replica of the Ten Commandments and stuff. So it's really interesting. But that's 90 seconds. The fat lady's singing. I got 90 seconds. But that's the gist of the whole history, is that there's two Ark of the Covenants in America. They're in America. They're not in Israel. It's not in Japan. It's not in Ethiopia. It's not in Ireland. It's in America. Anyway, folks, time's running out. Don't forget to support your favorite ministry on the planet. You can go to SherryShriner.com and click on the donate page. I need your support to get through this month. Till next week, everybody. God bless.